In the 17th century, the wise and just King Arthur Pendragon ruled a vast kingdom. He was known for ensuring justice and equality, caring deeply for all his subjects, regardless of wealth or status. Arthur Pendragon was a descendant of the legendary King Arthur. Like his forebear, he had a deep commitment to justice, earning him the people's love and the title the Just King. One of his earliest decrees was to enforce fair laws that would protect the weak. No one would be above the law, he declared, regardless of influence or social standing. One day, news of a great injustice reached the king. A wealthy nobleman's son had wronged a poor farmer, taking his land by force, yet no one dared to confront the powerful family. The noble's son had manipulated records and threatened the farmer's family, leaving them destitute. The farmer's plea was ignored by officials under pressure from the noble's influence. Arthur summoned both the nobleman's son and the farmer to his court. His voice boomed as he declared, "Injustice in my kingdom will not be tolerated. Every voice matters here." After hearing both sides, Arthur ruled in favor of the farmer, ordering the return of his land. The nobleman's son was fined and forced to publicly apologize. The people praised the king's fairness. However, not all nobles were pleased with Arthur's dedication to equality. Many resented that their privileges were diminishing, and they began seeking ways to expand their power and wealth in secret. Several nobles schemed to increase taxes on the poor villages, seizing portions of their harvest as payment. These taxes left many farmers struggling to feed their families through harsh winters. To add to the villagers' suffering, nobles imposed heavy tolls on main roads and bridges, restricting trade. Local merchants had to pay exorbitant fees just to transport their goods across the land. The poorest villagers, unable to afford the tolls, had their goods seized. Many lost their livelihoods, while the wealthier nobles grew richer and more influential within the kingdom. Despite this, Arthur remained unaware of the full extent of the nobles' greed. He trusted his council, believing they shared his values. His trust would soon be tested by the scheming nobles. But one loyal advisor, Sir Roland, noticed the rising discontent among the villagers. He began investigating quietly, uncovering evidence of the nobles' exploitation and their secretive tax schemes. Sir Roland approached the king with his findings. "My liege, many nobles are exploiting the people, imposing taxes beyond what is lawful," he warned. "The people suffer greatly." Arthur was troubled by this revelation. He ordered an inquiry into the matter, sending royal inspectors to examine the villages and hear directly from the common folk about their hardships. During the inquiry, stories emerged of forced labor and seized crops. Farmers spoke of empty barns and hungry children, all while the nobles lived in opulence from their unfair gains. Outraged, Arthur decreed that all excessive taxes imposed by nobles would be abolished. He established new laws to protect the rights of commoners, mandating fair treatment across his lands. The king's actions made him even more beloved by the people, but the nobles grew resentful. They viewed Arthur's reforms as a threat to their wealth and influence. As tensions grew, a secret alliance of powerful nobles formed, led by the ambitious Lord Edwin. Edwin vowed to challenge Arthur's authority and restore the nobles' privileges. In the shadows, Edwin began to recruit allies, promising them land and wealth if they supported his cause. He spread rumors that Arthur's rule would lead to the ruin of noble families. Edwin's influence spread, and soon whispers of discontent echoed through the noble circles. They plotted to undermine Arthur's policies, aiming to weaken his hold on the kingdom. Sir Roland warned the king of the growing unrest, urging caution. "My liege, there are those who would see your reforms undone. We must act with vigilance." Arthur, however, held firm. "Justice will prevail. I will not allow greed to rule this kingdom," he said, determined to continue his mission of fairness for all. Lord Edwin, meanwhile, encouraged the nobles to hoard grain, creating an artificial scarcity. This forced villagers to buy from noble-controlled markets at inflated prices. The manipulation led to starvation in some regions, As poor villagers struggled to afford food, children went hungry, while the nobles profited immensely from the suffering of the people. Hearing of the famine, Arthur dispatched royal envoys to distribute grain from the royal reserves, ensuring the villages would not starve. His compassion saved countless lives. As Arthur's aid reached the people, his popularity surged even more. The nobles seethed, angered that their plans were foiled by the king's intervention and his compassion for the common folk. Realizing direct confrontation was dangerous, Edwin changed tactics. He began to spread lies about Arthur's character, sowing seeds of doubt among influential allies and the public. Edwin's deception cast a shadow over the king's court. Some loyal followers wavered, wondering if Arthur's reforms were too radical and dangerous for the kingdom's stability. Arthur, ever wise, held a council meeting to address the growing unrest. He spoke passionately of his vision, reassuring those present that his reforms were for the good of the kingdom. True leadership, he declared, is about service, not power. Those who exploit the people betray the very purpose of their position. His words resonated deeply with many present. While some nobles softened, others, including Edwin, remained steadfast in their resolve. They were determined to see Arthur dethroned and their privileges restored. One winter's night, Edwin attempted to bribe the palace guards to allow him access to the king's quarters. His plot was to end Arthur's rule by force if necessary. But Sir Roland was vigilant. He intercepted the bribed guards and alerted the king, thwarting Edwin's sinister plan. Edwin was captured and brought before Arthur for justice. As Edwin stood in chains before the court, Arthur addressed him solemnly. "You have betrayed not only me but the people you swore to protect. Justice will be served." In a surprising act of mercy, Arthur chose not to execute Edwin. Instead, he exiled him, declaring, "May you find wisdom and humility beyond our borders." Edwin left in disgrace. Arthur's decision to show mercy instead of vengeance strengthened his legacy. The people saw him not only as a just ruler, but as a compassionate and wise leader. In the years that followed, Arthur continued his mission of fairness. He implemented new policies that supported small farmers, protected tradesmen, and encouraged education. Under Arthur's reign, the kingdom became prosperous, with fair laws that respected the rights of all people. Villages flourished, and the kingdom grew strong and united. As he grew older, Arthur would often reflect on his journey. "True power lies in serving all, not a privileged few," he would say to his children and advisors. Arthur passed down his legacy of wisdom and justice to his heirs. The story of his reign became a cherished tale, inspiring generations to stand for fairness and integrity. In his later years, Arthur established schools for young children and even created councils to ensure the people's voices were heard on matters of the kingdom. Stories of King Arthur Pendragon spread to neighboring lands. Travelers marveled at his kingdom, a place where justice prevailed and the people thrived under a wise and kind ruler. The kingdom became a beacon of hope. Renowned for its fair governance, Arthur's wisdom and compassion had turned it into a place where even the poorest were protected. In his final days, Arthur gathered his children, passing on his values: serve with compassion, be unwavering in justice, and cherish the people, he advised, imparting his final wisdom. Arthur's legacy endured beyond his lifetime. Statues were built in his honor, and his teachings became foundational for the kingdom's future leaders. Long after his passing, the people of the kingdom held celebrations in his memory, remembering the king who stood by them, uniting the land through justice and kindness. To this day, legends tell of King Arthur Pendragon, the just king, whose wisdom and strength brought a kingdom together, honoring all, from the lowliest villager to the highest noble. Villagers would tell tales of how Arthur's kindness saved their ancestors during hard times, passing down stories of the noble ruler who valued every life in his kingdom. Arthur's descendants carried his legacy forward, leading the kingdom with fairness. His story became a guiding light for rulers, a model of strength through compassion. In Arthur's kingdom, justice became a cornerstone, inspiring all who heard of his life to believe in the power of integrity, service, and the enduring strength of fairness. Arthur's counsel was maintained, ensuring representation for common folk. Even after his passing, his influence shaped the kingdom, preserving justice across the land. The story of King Arthur Pendragon lives on, inspiring those who value justice and humanity. His name is synonymous with honor, integrity, and a love for his people. Through his reign, Arthur turned his kingdom into a realm of hope, proving that true power lies in serving others and that justice must be served to all equally. Today, Arthur's tale is a timeless reminder that even in a world of ambition and greed, kindness, wisdom, and justice are the greatest forms of strength. His story serves as an example for future generations, inspiring rulers, leaders, and all who hear it to stand by truth and fairness, no matter the challenge. Arthur's kingdom flourished, becoming a model of equality and justice. His reforms set a new standard, and his legacy as a just king lives on in the hearts of his people. To this day, Arthur Pendragon is celebrated as a legend, a man who ruled with kindness, faced adversity, and left a mark that would shape his kingdom for centuries. Arthur's tale is more than a story. It is a testament to the belief that a ruler's strength lies not in power but in compassion, justice, and unwavering integrity. And so, the legend of King Arthur Pendragon, the Just King, endures, a story of courage, wisdom, and the unbreakable bond between a king and his people.